Hey everybody, what's going on? I hope you guys can see me. What is happening, everybody? Happy Thursday, May now. Time is flicking, flying. And yeah, Andres here from Toronto. Well, originally from Mexico. For everybody that has joined recently that does not know me, or my beautiful wife up there in the picture. She's not with me right now, but I want to share with you guys. I'm really excited to share some of the insight of like having taken like 25 plus like enrollment calls, and it's amazing. Like you get a ton of like insight, and yeah, I love to share some more. I hope that you guys can see me. um, Let me just make sure, because I'm trying to record it as well, because I think this training will be really valuable for you guys. I just want to make sure that it's all good. But yeah, for everybody that does not know me, Andres here once again. I'm a business coach, a launch strategist, and I'm super excited to be here with you guys. So yeah, let's do this. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think we're good. Amazing, amazing. All right, so I'm gonna go right into it. I want to share with you guys the three main secrets, the biggest lessons, whatever you want to call it, of yeah, like essentially having had like 25 calls. Well, actually, if you saw my my picture, I had 40 calls. Okay, out of those, it was a little bit more than 25 plus that actually showed up. So that's interesting, just kind of like the percentage. But yeah, I want to tell you exactly. Oops. I want to tell you exactly. Yeah, the three biggest things. So I'll break them down. Um, and then after we'll kind of go into it. I'm so visual, so I love the pen. So I hope you guys love it as well. The whiteboard of truth and justice. All right. So first of all, attitude. Attitude. Without the right attitude, it's so hard to have good enrollment calls, because you have to be present. Okay, first of all, you have to be present. You have to be intentional but unattached. Unattached. That's, I think, one of the hardest pieces, because sometimes we're so attached to the outcome. We're so attached to like the sale. We're so attached to, or the commission. We're so attached to like, yeah, like getting them in, that you forget to listen. And that screwed me over so many times, where I'm like more concerned about the questions that I'm asking, how I'm looking, and all these different things, when in reality, like, this is what matters like the most, right? Ugh, that's ugly, unattached. Sorry, it just bugs me when uh, sorry guys, trying to manage this. Perfect. Yeah, unattached. Yeah, being present on a call, at the same time navigating and understanding like the different things, it's so tough when you haven't had the practice. And before this run, I haven't had calls since the last like launch that we had. And so we're about to open the program a second time, but I'm starting to take calls now as well. But the last time we did it with like no list, no group, no ads, no anything, and we generated about, yeah, like 20K. And so this time around, we are more prepared, of course. We like kind of like revamp some things, and we're like reopening like our course or signature like offer, where you get like coaching, mentoring from us. But the best part here, it's the process that kind of gets you there. And I'll reveal some of that stuff right now, as far as like the enrollment calls, because with this script, with this format that we've developed, honestly, you can be expecting to close anywhere from like it just depends. It really does depend on like you, obviously, and like obviously the quality of the prospect as well. But pretending that you have the ideal client and you are on your A game, anywhere from like 40 to 50%, like being realistic, right? But yeah, being extremely present, extremely intentional, but at the same time unattached. Oh man, like the unattachment part is interesting. I started developing like a little routine where, I meditate. I try to meditate like every single day. It helps me so much to just stay focused, stay clear minded. And yeah, it was just so interesting how, over time, especially when you're not in a position of scarcity, but you're in a position of abundance, where you're getting a lot of calls, you're getting inquiries, you're getting like, you're basically like, knowing that you have a lot of them, so you're not like really attached to the outcome. So that's one of the key things too. But even if you don't have many, even if you only have one call, like treating it with like um so much intention, but like on attachment. And I'll add here as well, compassion. This is so key when you're on calls, because sometimes with your tone, you'll like screw yourself over. You'll say things like, oh man, like they just share something with you, and you're like, you like might say something, and then you're like, man, like that sounded kind of rough, because sometimes we have like, let me move this guy down here. Sometimes we honestly have, whoops, things happens again. You honestly sometimes have so much like judgment. Does it have an E? Anyways, forgive my like ESL, but yeah, judgment. We have judgment, right? And so what ends up happening is you are sharing it on the call, and sometimes like our tone and when you're not attached and all these different things, and the next thing you know, you're not like in alignment, and you're like being salesy, you're pressuring and all these different things, right? So attitude is definitely by far number one. That's why I put it there, because if you feel attached to the outcome, if you feel stressed or anxious, that's gonna kill your game so fast. Like there's something weird that happens, guys, when you're in calls, where there's almost like this like second dialogue that's not being spoken, where there's like people can perceive those nuances of your tone, those nuances of how like certain you are. So like you gotta make sure that you're like certain, like certain 100. Whoa! Every time I switch colors, that sucks. Certain 100%. Whoever, I don't know if you ever heard this, but whoever is the most confident in the room wins. Like will influence the other. And so, yeah, like that's just like a huge thing that I've learned. And so sometimes when I don't even feel like that, I think I've like rescheduled calls when I'm like, I like, just knowing that like I'm not in like full certainty. I mean, I would always say like go for it, because like when you're rescheduling, it's harder to connect. You lose momentum. The prospect gets colder. But just overall, telling you, it's gonna switch again. Oh, sucks. It switches. Anyway, so attitude is number one. Number two, it's the process. And I'm gonna give you guys here like just top notch. Like most guys, most gurus, most whatever don't even share this stuff. And I don't consider myself a guru by any means. I have so much left to like learn and to like, yeah, like I'm just starting, guys. Like it's literally, I mean, not starting literally, but like compared to like Tucumã Club guys or whatever, like it just, yeah, we're on our way to the seven figures, but not yet, right? So it's a process. It's a process, and I'll share with you guys the process of our calls that has really helped us. And honestly, the best script is no script. Like in time, when you get really good, but I'll tell you just the basic outline. Okay. So of course, first you want to set up the agenda. Like I used to get like screwed over so many times. I remember I had a call where like the person was really extroverted, really like, fast in their talking, and just like they just wanted to get what they wanted, and I tend to be a little bit more relaxed on the calls, and I try to give the space, and they just jumped the gun. I couldn't even set the agenda, but the agenda, it's the first thing you got to set. Because when you don't tell people what the actual agenda is, sometimes the call can go anywhere. So you cannot tell them like something along the lines of like, hey, so this is how this call is going to go. I'm going to ask you some questions. And then after the matter, like, you know, if it's a good fit, then I'll tell you a little bit more about what we do. Like, sounds good. Like, just, you cannot just like taking the lead. Like, it's leadership, right? But in that agenda, it's so key to do it. So the agenda is number one. Number two, you want to go straight into the pain. Usually you can ask it by, hey, like, what motivated you to be in this call with me today? And they'll tell you. And when the pain is there, you just got to press a little bit, explore a little bit, ask some more clarifying questions, and then you'll get some of that pain. Then after, we go into the problem. You know, it's like, hey, amazing. Like, what's the clearly defined problem? Because when there's not a clear block, a clear wall, a clear problem, sometimes there's not enough need. And when there's not enough need, there's not enough leverage, not enough desire. And of course, the whole thing is going to bomb. I had a call recently, like this past week, with a girl that, like, she told me, like, straight up, she's like, I don't even really know if I want to, like, do my vision altogether. Like, I'm not really sure if I even really have a problem. And that sale actually didn't end up coming through because she wasn't even committed enough, like, with herself first and foremost, but second of all, like, she wasn't committed to achieving her vision. And so that's the next one, the vision. And yeah, like, the vision is so cool because you get to explore it with them. You get to get them to dream a little bit bigger, like how much they want to be making, how much do they want to be spending, how much time do they want to be having. Like, just get them to really explore and like quantify that vision, because most often than not, the reason why we don't take action just as human beings, because we don't have a clear enough vision and there's not enough pain, right? I mean, if you guys have taken any, you know, courses from Tony Robbins or any kind of training along these lines, you'll know that there's only two things. Like, there's only, you know, like, pain, right? Or pleasure. Just that's the way we're wired, right? And so when there's not enough pain, like, what ends up happening is they don't act. And when there's not enough pleasure, because, like, you know, the vision, what they want is not clear enough, it just doesn't go anywhere. It's so hard to close a sale when there's not enough pain, like not clearly defined problem, like clearly defined pain, clearly defined vision. Like, it's tough. And so sometimes when I don't get like what I want from them in that answer, like, there was this girl and she was telling me, like, yeah, like, I want to write my own book. Like, I want to, like, launch my events. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, you know? And I'm like, how much do you want to be making? And she's like, I'm not really sure. And I was like, let's set a number. Like, let's do it together. And tell me why that number? Like, you know, if you set 20K, great. Why that 20K, right? So yeah, then after the vision, then here comes a really important piece that a lot of, like, I used to miss that part. I'm glad you're watching this, if you're watching this, because it's so key. Like, sometimes, like, I used to go from here to like the next step, which is like the commitment. I honestly used to just like jump from here to here, and I'll tell you what that one looks like in a second. But to be honest with you, it was also screwing me. Like, it was also yeah, like, killing it. So there's different kinds of impact, right? And I'm going to actually just do this quickly every single time. Every time I switch, that sucks. Sorry, guys. And I can't even switch it. I want the red. Oh, why you should switch? That's crazy. I'm just trying to. Anyways, guys, just wanted to get more space. Okay, there you go. A switch 3. Boom. Oh man, boom. There we go again. Awesome, guys. See, some guys are watching. That's amazing. Okay, so yeah, the impact, right? There's the impact in the personal level, and sometimes when you don't take the time, when you don't take the time, I'm trying to write personal. when you don't take the time to explore these things, what ends up happening is they don't realize it themselves. And so sometimes like I would ask questions like, hey, like, what is it costing you right now in your personal life? Like, what is it costing you right now? Sometimes like, hey, yeah, it's costing me like my health. Like, I am super stressed, like back to this one, like I have so much stress, like anxiousness, like health, right? And so what ends up happening? People start to realize how important it's to change. But I don't stop there. I ask, what is the impact as well on your family? And of course, what's the impact on the business, right? But that's super key. And I used to skip it. I used to kind of like understand like, yeah, I have to define like what's the problem because, in the marketplace, we get paid according to the problems we solve, yada, yada, yada. Great. But I used to skip it. I used to go from like here to here. And I'll tell you what the commitment is in a second. But I was sometimes afraid to ask you because it's awkward at first. When you don't have the practice, it's awkward. And I tell you, that's why you have to have bulk. You have to be running ads. You have to be like having a funnel that like fills you up your agenda, or organic as well, or both, even better. But yeah, just because you want people to book calls with you and you have a lot of practice so that when it comes to this part, because it really is in the tone a lot of the times. Like if you ask certain things like, hey, like, what is it costing you in your family? Like sometimes it can be like very aggressive for some people, but it's in the tone. If you're like, hey, like, what's costing you? How do you think this is impacting your family in not having this 20,000 that you just mentioned with me? Well, shoot, my family, yeah, like my kids, like sometimes I don't get to like, spend much time with my kids. I'm like, if you had more time, would you be able to spend more time with your kids? Yes. Okay, great. How is it affecting in your business? Not having it, right? Like we talked about the pain and pleasure part, not having it. And so people will always, this is just proven, and it sucks that we're wired this way or like that we are this way, but we are so much more likely to act on pain, like escaping from pain because it's so much pain the way that you are. But sometimes we don't take the time because guess what happens? Our minds just start moving things out of the way. Our mind says things like, oh, you're fine. Like things will get better. Like, oh, don't think about that right now. And so we push it to the back burner. But in these calls, you're with me and I'm trying to be like so loving, so compassionate, so unattached, but at the same time, firm in your attitude, firm with authority, with leadership, because again, they're not like, you're not there, like you're not a product pusher, you're a solution provider. Like just breathe, live and breathe that, right? Like if you're showing up on calls, you're like so attached, you're like, oh my gosh, like, or you're hesitant when you're like about to pitch the price, won't work. So, but doing that though, like taking the time to define the impact, the family and the business, it's so key. So key, because then when you get to the commitment where I ask things like, hey, how much longer do you want to wait? Like, what's the urgency like? Well, and I'm like, could you live with that? Could you live if nothing changes? Right? Like those questions are so key. Then things like, what else? Another great question is like, yeah, I love to calibrate. Calibrating is amazing. What is calibrating? Calibrating is when you ask someone something along the lines of this. Hey, listen, if you were to, tell me where you feel you are right now, from 1 being like nothing, 10 being the max amount of commitment, like how committed would you say you are to reaching your goals? That's how I would ask. And so they would say, honestly, like 7. Okay, I would say thanks for your honesty. But what would it take? What would it take for you to get to a 10? Well, I don't know. No, come on, tell me. Like, what would, I had a girl that was just like, no, I don't know. And like, and it was just like, I said, listen, beyond the money, beyond like whether you invest with me or any other program, I said the most important piece here is, are you committed to changing? Because it doesn't sound like you're committed to changing. Like on one end, you're telling me that the problem really sucks and you want it fixed like now. You're telling me that you really are passionate about your vision and you really want to, like, you know, basically like reach it like as fast as possible because it's important to you to contribute to different causes, because you want to make more impact. Yes. But when I go into the commitment, then the truth sometimes comes out and it's like, honestly, my fears are a little bit bigger than my commitment. Oh, geez. Okay, well, yeah, like then that explains. And it's so hard to close a sale if they are not committed to changing, you know, committed to changing themselves. Like I'm just gonna write like I, right? And committed to the program or the methodology that you're guiding them through. You know, and when I say I, again, I mean like their vision, like what they just expressed to me in the call that they really want. Are they committed to actually getting it? 'Cause sometimes we say we want things. Well, you guys know how it is. Like, just doesn't take much to just look around and look at just even your own New Year's resolutions. I bet you that, you know, you made them. Yeah, time to lose weight, time to eat better, time to, you know, get jacked, time to make more money, and all these different things that we all get super, you know, excited about. But then what ends up happening? Nothing. We don't act upon it. There's a huge disconnect between what happens here and what happens here and what we do with our body. You know what I mean? So yeah, guys, I hope this is making sense to you. As I said, like attitude is number one, is the first biggest like thing. The process is number two. And number three, what do you guys think is number three? Well, actually, sorry, hold on. I didn't finish this. One thing at a time. Vision, impact, commitment, offer. Of course, this is where you need to pitch your offer. And by the way, guys, by the way, if there's nothing else you get from this call, from this, you know, training, free training, get this part though. The offer, don't ramble for like 5 minutes telling them all the different things. No. Okay, so let me explain you something like super, super key. Now, actually, I'm gonna go like a little off topic. Just I'll pause on that. But check this out, okay? Our brain has two hemispheres, right? You already know that. It's the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere, right? The right one processes things like the emotions, processes like your creative, you know, process, you name it, right? I'm just gonna put a little heart here. It's the one that kind of like takes you more like imagining, right? Like, yeah, imagination, right? Beautiful. Left processes more like data, right? Like a structure. Does that make sense, right? Just the way we're wired, just our brains. Though, you know, we have this saying, it's like the right, you know, right kind of people and the left kind of people, right? And this affects a lot. And in a sales call, you want to remain here for the whole time as much as possible. Because what happens when you start going into the offer and you list a bunch of stuff, you activate this one. This one gets activated. And you don't want that. You do not want that. Because buying anything, committing to anything, it's an emotional decision. I know that a lot of you might say, hey, you know, I'm super analytical and I like think everything through. And yes, that might be true, but we ultimately know that we make decisions based on emotions. That's just how we're wired. And yeah, so I hope that makes sense. So you want to keep them in that emotional, in that imaginative state, in that creative state. That's the key. That's the goal to like activating like all the circuits so that when you go into the last one, which is the invite, get them to be a part of it. Boom. Then it's a sale. The last one over here is objections. Now I'm going to tell you a little secret here. Okay. Pay very close attention, because this, like, it's funny because sometimes, like, even if I tell you what it is, sometimes we just don't have the practice. Like, even if you logically know it, sometimes we can't apply it. Like, it's happened to me so many times where, like, I, read something in a book and I knew that was the way, and I just couldn't apply it. And then I had to pay someone in a mastermind, in a freaking, course or something, you know, later in life, just to hear it again and be like, oh my gosh, like, this is the key. But now I can actually apply it. Now I can actually, like, do it, right? So what are some objections that people normally give? Okay. Things like, I want to think about it. And I've learned some of this stuff from Dan Locke. I love how he treats objections. It's very sincere, very honest, but very powerful too. And I'll show you. I want to think about it. I'm just going to write a few here. By the way, guys, leave your comments below and I'll answer you guys with any questions. Like, I just can't see. Actually, I can see it on my phone if you guys are there. Let me see. Let me see what the deal is here. Oh, come on. Sorry, my phone is a little low in battery. Give me 1 second. I'll check in 1 sec. Yeah, cool. So I have my phone now. So if you are watching, I'll put it over here so I can see the comments. Malachi, what's up? Shan, what's going on? What is up? All right, cool. So I'll leave it here so I can see any comments that kind of come in. Beautiful. So yeah, what are some common objections? You have things like, I want to think about it. Okay. What are some other ones? Send me more information. Classic, right? Or I can't afford it. Can't afford it. What are some other ones that you guys might think of? Want to think about it? Send me more info. I can't afford it. What's another classic one? One that I was told recently. Something like, what did you say? Oh, well, yeah, the classic, like, I have to think with my husband or whatever, discuss with partner. Another good one, send me a proposal. Guys, I never do proposals, never. Like, I did when I first started, and I learned the hard way that they rarely take you anywhere, unless you're talking about, like, hundreds of thousands of dollars where you actually need a breakdown. Like, believe me, you do not need a proposal. Okay, just getting that out of the way. And I'm talking high ticket. I'm talking things like up to like 25,000, 100,000. Like, don't need. Anyway, so send me. Sorry, what did I say? Send me a proposal. Send me a proposal. It's a little weird to write with this pen. Anyways, so I want to think about it. Send me more info. I can't afford it. I need to discuss with a partner. Send me a proposal. How do you handle this? Okay. So that's the third big lesson here. So, first you check your attitude. Again, you be present, listening, intentional but unattached, firm, compassionate. Very, very key to have the right mindset, right? Leave all the stress, all the anxiety away. Golden. Then the process. Are you following the process? Do you have a process? Some people don't have a process. They're just like, hey, what's up? Like, how can I help you? And they just kind of like tell about it. And believe me, I've tried to freelance it, to just go for it. It doesn't work. Stick to the process. It's powerful for a reason, because you are essentially, like, taking the time to define each of them. And because of that, you get like ammunition with this. Okay. But let's talk about, let's go one by one. First of all, okay, so you're with the prospect. Okay, I'm gonna just kind of role play. I love to bring someone in to role play, but I guess that won't be the case today. But maybe sometime soon. Who knows? Just drink some water. It's my favorite bottle. Well, my only bottle. Okay, so I want to think about it. Great. So I go one or two routes here. If, okay, you have to assume that a lot of the times when people tell you things like this, they're not really wanting more info. They're just scared, or it's something else. So like all this, like presume there's smoke and mirrors. So I want to think about it. Okay. No problem. Yeah, of course. We always encourage people to think about these things. What exactly do you need to think about? Would you like to think about? I'm here. We can discuss anything. Okay. Then people start telling you. They might say, okay, well, I want to think about, and this goes for the send me more info too. It's like, yeah, no problem. I can send you more info, but let me just ask you, what info would you like to see in order for us to move forward? Okay, no problem. I like to see maybe a proposal. I like to see testimonials. I like to see, case study, like whatever. You tell me, yeah, what else? What else? Okay, great. Then once you're there, you say, well, let's pretend I gave you all of that. What would you want to do next? What would you say next? If the person says, okay, yeah, I mean, I'm down. I'm down to do it then. Oh, really? Okay, great. Right? And then you can circle back to what you need to send them. Or you can also say like, hey, listen, let me just ask you, what could you get from a PDF that you couldn't get from me in this call right now? And so a lot of the times you'll just like move that smoke, and sometimes you'll understand that they're not really wanting to think about it. Like that actually happened to someone I closed today, that said, I want to think about it. And I said, what would you like to think about? And then she was like, oh, honestly. And then it was just a trigger. It was just an automatic response. Right. So I said like, hey, let's talk about it right now. And then she finally confessed. She's like, yeah, honestly, I'm a little afraid. I don't know if this is going to work for me. And I said, okay, what about it? Right. And so you always want to like, clarify a little deeper. Like, what exactly is that? Then you kind of just say something along the lines of like, okay, cool. Let's pretend, or let's suppose I give you that. What would happen next? Then they would say, okay, yeah, then I would move forward. I said, okay, great. Are you comfortable with the $5,000 investment? Are you comfortable with a $10,000 investment? Okay. So then it was not that you wanted more info. It was not that you wanted to think about it. It was that you couldn't afford it, which we're going to go into it in just a second. So yeah, you clarify it. You say, hey, pretend that da-da-da-da-da. And then after you go back to the needs, say, hey, listen, like, why are we in this call? If you wanted to think about it, you wouldn't have come to this call. You obviously want to take action. Once again, how committed are you to your vision? Right? And like always going back to this, because for you to handle any objections, you don't want to handle it like you're following script. You want to handle it because you understand that it's your duty. It's your duty. You are committed to helping them get through that fear or get through that insecurity. And that's why I have learned, because it's not like something like I love like from the get-go, but I've learned to like enjoy enrollment calls. I'm trying to do more and more and fill up my calendar. But send me more info. How do you handle sending more info? Like I said, you can say, hey, like what could you get from a PDF that you couldn't get from me? Let's talk about it. Or if they're like, no, I do really want info and all these different things, and you say, great, what info would you like? Okay, well, I like blank. Okay, great. And what else? Well, I like testimonial. Okay, great. What else? right? And so you strip them of all of that, and then you say again, okay, amazing. Let's pretend that you got that. What would you say next? Are you comfortable moving forward then? And then you can circle back, right, to the information if that's really the case. Now, how do you handle, I can't afford it? I can't afford it. Classic. Okay, well, you want to, first of all, find out, is it really the money, or once again, is it a smoke and mirror? Right? I love my buddy Brad Newman. You know, it's a tank on sales too. He's done like 1,000+ calls. Like, it's nuts. But he says that we are truth seekers when you were in this process, in these calls, because you want to find out what's exactly holding them back from moving forward. Like, what's the actual problem? Sometimes it's not even information. Sometimes a combination of things. But sometimes when people say, "Oh, I can't afford it. Oh, that's too much money." You don't want to just be like, "Oh, okay," or like, "Oh," you know, or get nervous or whatever, you know, after you say the investment. But you say, you know, how can we make this work for you? You cannot hang in there. You play with that resistance. You know what I mean? How can we make that work for you? Well, do you have payment plans? Okay, let's pretend I do give you payment plans. Would that help you? What would you do next? Right? And so you always want to make sure that they're telling you the truth, because yeah, sometimes, and I've had like a lot of the 30K I told you about, I haven't collected that in full. It's still like in payment plans, right? And that's how it is sometimes. And it's true. Sometimes they're telling the truth and they're like, honestly, I literally don't have the money. Okay, great, no problem. But I promise I'll get it on Tuesday or Wednesday next week on blank day. And you always want to get a specific date, a specific, and ask them like, hey, are you in? Like, are you like, is this the program for you? Are you 100% sure? You're not going to call me in a week and tell me that you don't want it anymore, or that you have a change of heart, over and over and over. So, you know, never justify, by the way. You always want to agree with them. It's like, oh, it's a lot of money. Yeah, it's a lot of money. Of course, it's a lot of money. It's a big decision. You need a lot of help. You see what I mean? Oh, I can't afford it. Okay, well, isn't that why we're in this call? Like, isn't that why you came in this call? So you can increase your income, so you can afford like more things in general? So what, how can we make this work for you? Right? And so you always want to like circle back to the need, right? Yeah, you always want to circle back to the need, because that's really what matters. Like, if you remind them why they're really like in that call, and then you can also ask them, like, and I've done this as well, you know, when I feel that they're like kind of being dodgy with me, I ask them and I'm like, hey, listen, you know, when people usually tell me that they want to think about it or that they can't afford it, it's usually because they just want to say no, but they're being polite. Like, isn't that the case here? And then, whoa, like, you'll catch them by surprise. And then they'll say, oh, no, no, I actually can afford it. Okay, great. So are you open to having an honest conversation about your finances? Can we chat about that? Yeah, okay, well, okay, so how much is it coming from my credit card? When are you getting this payment? Okay, and so you clarify. You see, you're always clarifying. You're always like getting rid of the smoke and mirrors and going back to the need, going back to the moving forward, like call to action. This probably looks like super messy for you guys. Like, again, I hope that you're just following along with me, or if not, at least just like listening. But yeah, same with the partner, same exact thing, same with the proposal, right? It's like amazing. Like, sometimes people say, hey, send me a proposal just to be nice. They don't want to say no to you. They want to think about it, but they're not ready. So you want to clear all those smoke and mirrors and say, hey, let me ask you, what would you need to discuss with a partner to make an empowered decision? Okay, and so would it help if I sit with you too to make that decision? Okay, when exactly? What time? And let me ask you, Mr. Prospect, if I were to show your wife, your husband, everything they need, you know, and they feel this is exactly the right product for you, would there be anything else stopping you from moving forward? Is there any reason why you would say no at that point? right? And so you probe, you clarify, you pretend, like you go really go in there. Same with the proposals. Like, what could you not get from me here on the call that you could get on a proposal? Like, we're here, like, let's discuss. Oh, you know what, I'm more of a visual person. Okay, that's no problem. If I were to give you that proposal, like, what would you say next? Yeah, then yeah, totally, we'll move forward. Okay, great. And are you comfortable with the $10,000 investment? Yes. Okay, great. And are you gonna do just one payment of 10,000, or do you want to put in a payment plan? Okay, all right, cool. Let's circle back to that proposal. Could I show you that proposal right now? What would you need to see today in order for us to move forward? And so those empowering questions, I hope you guys are getting it. And you go one by one, and you just kind of stand your ground, and you keep clarifying, you keep digging, and you keep like moving those smoke and mirrors and getting to the truth. The truth, which is the most important piece by far. So yeah, I mean, the other reason why I do it with the whiteboard too is because if you're anything like me, and sometimes you don't have time to like watch like a full training. I mean, I hope you have time. I think this is like really, really cool, especially if you're not like having 20, 30 calls a week. I think you can learn a ton from just like these little nuggets. But at least you can scroll through it, catch the replay. Do hashtag replay, by the way, hashtag live. I gotta start doing that more, because I know that a lot of people, it helps the video get ranked. It shares to more people, like it shows it to more people, and then more people get more results. And like, listen, if I can get you results for absolutely free, like, you're gonna be dying to work with me, and that's my goal. That's completely my goal, to provide so much value that like it just makes it a no-brainer, because it's all just an investment in yourself, investment in your business. That's why I love to just do business in general. So anyways, that is the truth. Smoke and mirrors, we don't want them. We don't want smoke and mirrors. So you want to clear those out. So yeah, all those different things. Hey, so a proposal, some of this today. I was on a call today, and I could tell at first that it was like they were kind of insecure. But then I asked, like, hey, like, okay, so how would it work? And sometimes when they ask me, like, hey, do you have payment plans? I don't just tell them the payment plans right away. I say, what kind of payment plans would you need? What kind of, like, what quantity did you have in mind? How much could you put like forward today to like save your spot? So on and so forth, right? So you wanna always kind of, handle the question, handle the request. Oh, another one. I just remember another one. Yeah, and I got this one today. It was, what's your guarantee? She laughed with my comeback. I'll tell you in a sec. Right? What's your guarantee? I said, I don't know. What's the guarantee that you're gonna show up and like do the work? What's the guarantee that you're gonna put your all into it? Because I mean, so far it doesn't sound like you know like you might even be a good fit for this program just by even you asking that question. Uh-oh. It's reverse psychology. You can also say something along the lines of, um, hey, like, so what's your guarantee? I say something like, um, nah, that one. Like, sometimes you can do this one. Sometimes, like they say, like, yeah. What's your guarantee? And you can say something like, um, ah, forgot just exactly how to phrase it. Um, yeah, I mean, I like just doing that one. Like, hey, like that's the one I did today. That's why it's fresh. Like, yeah. What's the guarantee that you're gonna show up? What's the guarantee that you're gonna put in the work? I said, I can guarantee you that it's a proven system, but I can't guarantee that you're gonna put in the work. Can't guarantee like some of those like you know uh, result like just right away, like how you're asking. Oh, I remember now. Yeah, if someone says, hey, what's your guarantee? We can say like, hey, we like to work with people that are like committed. And you asking that question sounds like you're looking for a way out before you're even in. We don't really go for that vibe. We don't really like to work with those kind of people. Shoot, again, like that's why I said, you said, like, with because that could be sometimes like too intimidating. Just again, depends on your tone. You know, you can do it a little jokingly, something like, hey, so like, what's your guarantee? She said. And I said, you know, well, I already told you what I said. I said, hey, like, what's your guarantee that you're going to show up, that you're going to do the work? But if you want to do the other one, it could be like, hey, so what's your guarantee? And you can say something like just watch the tone. Let me just get into it. So yeah, it's like, so what's your guarantee? So like, honestly, when people ask that question, they're normally trying to see a way out before they're even in. We don't really like to, you know, we don't really work that well with those kind of people. Boom, it just kind of like takes them by the storm, right? But yeah, it just depends, right? Obviously, if you have a guarantee, you tell it at that point. But yeah, I mean, all of this, once again, they really do stem from like fear. They stem from insecurity. Maybe you haven't been able to articulate the value. Maybe your offer wasn't properly articulated. Maybe there's not a clear defined promise, so you go back to it. You know, like honestly, if you do this right and you pre-frame the call correctly and it's a right prospect, you should barely have any of this one, especially being smoke and mirrors. Like if someone does say I can't afford it, they probably actually can afford it. And you can just check, you know, try to give them a payment plan or something, right? So yeah, pretty cool stuff, guys. I hope you got a lot of value from this. I'm gonna be logging off now and just chilling out. It's been a long day, but yeah, I just love to connect with you guys. Let me know below what questions you have about sales, about enrollment costs, about high ticket sales. We're gonna be putting more of this training. So I'm gonna be doing live Q&As every single Thursday for people that are in our programs already, people that are just in this group. And we're just gonna have a ton of fun, guys. So let me know if you have questions. Love to answer them. Inbox me as well if you want any more information or you want to just know more about what we're up to and what we're doing and how we can help you scale your business, grow to at least 25K a month minimum with our system, with our program. We have another program as well that is for people that want to get to like 7 figures as well, like using paid advertising, using funnels. That's the next one up. That's kind of like our high tier. But yeah, guys, like love to hear more about if this helped you, if you have the attitude, if you have the process, if you have the objections kind of like nailed out. Like it takes a lot of time, but I just hope that, you know, just sharing a little bit of that. And you know, I was just really pumped with a lot of the calls I've had and a lot of people. Like just it's amazing. I had this lady that was like, man, like single mom, like she's been doing this for like, you know, a while without results, and she's just been like making anywhere from like 1,000 to 5,000. She was like, man, like I really want this, like I know this is for me. And like, but she was like, I actually can't afford it right now. But and anyway, we made it work with her, and she got the money, she got the deposit, and we are in with her. So it's super doable. It just really all depends on people that want to exchange this, you know, completely put that for like faith, certainty, security, just feeling rock solid about their decision, knowing that it's an investment. And I always ask people this question, like, if you knew that I'm going to give you $10,000 and you just have to give me 1,000, how many times would you do that? Every single day, like all day, every day, right? Like it's an amazing ROI. Right. And so it's the same thing when people invest in programs that actually work, obviously, that have actual results. But that's just how it is. That's just how the game is, right? And so if you know it's a proper investment, then boom, it will work out. And so it's the same thing in this enrollment calls. If you know it's your duty, if you know that they just need to push through fear, you know it's the right program for them, then it's your moral obligation to serve them and to empower them to make a decision that's going to change their life. So anyways, guys, Andres Martinez here, business coach, launch strategist. Love to know any questions that you have. Let me know if this little workshop helped. And yeah, we'll keep chatting, guys. Let me know if you're enjoying the group as well. All right, let's stop sharing here. Boom, just got everything super dark. All right, guys, take it easy.